My name is Patricia Ellis. I'm 73 now. Uh, I've lived in California for 7 years, moved from Ohio where I was born. I have done a variety of things over my lifetime. I am retired now, and for, let's say, 10 years. I, well, I my first degree was in English literature, and it greatly impressed me, and has continued to this day to be important to me. I went on as time went by, though. I was getting a divorce, and I needed a job. I needed to find something to support myself, and so I decided I needed to broaden myself, and I went to nursing school at 44. So when I graduated, I got a job, and I dearly loved it. I loved that job. I worked in maternity, moms and babies, really special, really special. I had to quit after about 12 years because I had a back problem. So that caused the retirement to happen a little earlier than I would have liked. I came to California to be near my grandchildren, which has been really great to be able to do that. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's 2 years ago this month, and in that 2 years, so much has changed for me, so much for the better. When I was diagnosed, I actually knew what I had. It was either that or MS. I wasn't sure. I'm not a doctor, but I'd had some experience earlier that was drug-related, medication drug. So I had experienced some symptoms early on, but my neurologist now says that is not connected to my diagnosis now. However, when I started doing, it's a certain kind of walking where you shuffle, walk fast, can't stop. Fall down. The only way I could stop was to fall down. I began doing that, but I knew what it was. And obviously it's not normal, and you need a doctor. So I had my first appointment with a neurologist, confirmed what I already suspected. And even though I did kind of have that idea in my mind, when she said it, I was still shocked. And you kind of go into this fog, in the office visit, and she was telling me a bunch of things I needed to do. This is okay, do this, and this, like the exercise is a big deal. When I left, I could hardly remember anything she said. But I was overwhelmed. I was confused. I was really scared. I got depressed pretty early on. I didn't know what to do, and I find that's what other recently diagnosed people say. They don't know where to turn, where to start. And one of the first things I did was buy a wheelchair. I haven't used it, but I've had this idea in my mind that I was going to need it. So let's get it, sitting in my closet, and maybe I will someday need it. But that's just what I thought. I thought, pretty soon I'm not going to be able to do anything. And I was totally ignorant. So what I always do, which is educate myself. And so I, started reading. A very nice woman called me. I guess it was that way. She's a person who is like a resource person in Orange County, here where I live, and she herself has Parkinson's. She's like the go-to woman for anything you need to know about activities, events, education. So I couldn't believe this. It was so wonderful. she actually said, well, I can come to your house and bring you some books and information, for this area. I was like, you can come to my house? Because I wasn't really up for going anywhere. So she came, and so I brought me things, talked to me. It was the first interaction I'd had with someone besides my doctor and my family. It really helped a lot. I pursued some of the things that she gave me. There's a lot of information to be had. Parkinson Foundation, Michael J. Fox Foundation, you name it. It's everywhere, the information. So I learned a lot about this disease. And that was good and bad at the same time, because some of it, the more I learned, the worse I felt, because I was afraid these things were going to happen to me. I didn't know when, but here they're coming someday. I also was reading about how people are diagnosed, and I'm like, well, geez, what stage am I in? She told me I was early, but it was like, you see all these pictures and drawings and charts. It was getting pretty overwhelming to me. Webinars, so much information. And here in Orange County, Parkinson's is very well covered as far as people to help you, organizations to help you, free things. So that was good to know. My neurologist said, you're going to need to do, like, say, a singing group, because in Parkinson's, it's about muscles. Your muscles get stiff and you don't move so well. That's kind of one of the early signs of it that the doctor sees. And she goes, well, and the throat muscles and speaking, swallowing, those become affected too. So, you need to strengthen your vocal cords. Well, that blew me away. So I was doing boxing, which at 71, I was pretty shocked that I did that. It's a Parkinson's program called Rock Steady Boxing. Many people do it, and it did help me. It was very good with the program that they have. And a woman came to speak at the boxing one day and told us about a music program called Tremble Clefs. It's a singing group. They were doing it on Zoom. She was the therapist, music therapist. And I was so impressed by what she said as far as how the exercises can help. It was very informative. So I immediately contacted her after the program that day and, started attending on Zoom. Well, again, I learned a lot because she was able to explain to us a lot of why we were doing these silly old exercises, what it was going to help us with. And then they actually do singing too. But fortunately, we're muted, so nobody can hear us. They do some concerts. I have not participated in those. In that one of those days I was attending, I brought up to the group that I was getting so scared by what I was learning, and I didn't know what to do. And so these people, been around a while, had it for a while. So one of the men there said, well, better to be scared than surprised. And I thought about that for a long time after, and I still do, because that was it. I was scared of what I was finding, but what if I didn't know? What would it be like if I didn't know anything and these things started happening? Plus, if you know, there are a lot of things you can do to prevent some of the things or slow the progression, as they say. That's the big watchword, slow the progression. So, and what I found I had to do was slow down a little bit on this education process. Just take what I can handle. I found I was going to my doctor with like 20 questions to revisit, and she says, "You need to like get in a clinical trial or something to get some answers here." So I have done Tai Chi, which I really love that. It's very slow movements, but when I'm finished with the class, can feel my entire body that it has had exercise. No pain or anything like that. It's just you feel the flow in your body. I was totally amazed by that, and I was amazed that I could actually do it. So I really enjoy that. I've had a lot of physical therapy because walking is still not always easy for me. I don't walk as smoothly, and that's exactly what happens in the brain. You lose this dopamine and dopamine receptors, and that's sort of what helps us have fluid movements. So that's harder for me than normal people. Not normal, just people who don't have Parkinson's. Let's see. My family, who have been supportive to some extent. Who's left in my family is I have 2 sons, and between them 3 grandchildren, and a wife and an ex-wife. My one son lives in Chicago, and the other son lives here in Anaheim. That's why I moved here, to be near the grandchildren. So that has been, definitely a good experience. And the son that lives here, Jonas, comes with me to the doctor, just so he can listen or ask questions. And it really has been helpful because I will sometimes leave the appointment and I say something or other, and he goes, "Don't you remember she said this?" Because, I get things mixed up. And so he can straighten me out a lot. So that's very good. And in the beginning, as I said, they were very supportive, my 2 sons. But I have to say, they're still like great to me, but they don't have the same interest as they did in the beginning. And of course, I'm always bringing it up to them. And I find that when you try to explain to people who don't have Parkinson's what's going on and what it's like, well, they just don't understand. They don't understand. They don't get it. And even though they're my children, they love me, it's still kind of, I don't know, remote to them. And I think that's true for most everybody that I know. And yet, you see, I think about Parkinson's all the time. I'm not sure if that's how other people are or not. And not in a bad way necessarily, but I'm like so always conscious of it. This has changed my life dramatically. What changed was, I was very afraid of I live alone. I've been alone for 20 years. I never did like it, and I still don't, but that's the way it is. And so when I found out I had Parkinson's, I told my sons, I am not going to have Parkinson's and live alone at the same time. I cannot do that. So that, in other words, it didn't necessarily change what my outward life was, but the being alone was really hard to deal with. Going to some support groups made a world of difference for that, though. You just don't want to feel alone. And it's a very isolating kind of disease because, I think anyway, because you become more limited in your activities and, things that you used to do, you may not do, especially like I've had to use a walker. Sometimes I'm like, oh God, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to, bring my walker. My biggest wish is to walk without it. Physical therapy has helped, and I am better. In fact, I went to Ireland. I just got back 2 days ago. I went for 2 weeks, And it is my most special place in the world. And I didn't think I would ever be able to go again when I got that diagnosis. I thought, this is it. I used to go every few years. And I just thought, I have to give that up. So as far as my life, how did it change? You see, I felt that my world was getting smaller. However, as we know, I did go to Ireland. I went by myself. I have a friend there. We spent the time together, and I came home by myself. And I want to say that I am totally amazed by this myself, that I could actually do it. I was afraid. Yes, I was afraid. But I did it. I did it, and I was successful. Nothing bad happened. Nothing unforeseen happened. So it was a complete success and really gave me a boost of confidence. And that, yes, obviously I am in the early stage because I could do these things and get ready for the trip even. It took up all of my energy. So in a way, then I wasn't thinking so much about Parkinson's, but yet, in a way I was, because I was thinking also, how will I be on this trip? What will I be able to do? For one thing, there'll be a time change. How will that affect me? I got drugs to take at certain times of the day. So I had, a lot of concerns over just the trip, but it's amazing to me that I did it, and it makes me feel like I can do other things too that I've maybe not believed I could. It's that in itself, that was as life-changing to me this past 2 weeks as, I guess, as the diagnosis was. Knowing you have Parkinson's, it just changes like everything. It changes everything. You have to think twice about things. Even, like I said, I'm early, I'm doing well, but you have to think twice. That's what I've discovered. So it's, it's kind of a drag to be that way. I so want to, obviously what we all want is to do the best I can to have a normal life for as long as possible. And the not knowing how things are going to go is something that drives us all a bit crazy. We all talk about this, I've learned so much from people who are further along than I am, or also who have been diagnosed longer than me. That has been a big, big help. What I want to do now is, start getting again more active in some new activities. I'm going to look for some new things. Exercise-wise, yes, we do need exercise. I personally believe that we need the support around us, I think, as much as we do exercise. Now, maybe the doctors wouldn't agree with me, but it has made a world of difference to me to have other people who understand and can share. And I can ask any question I want of these people in the support groups. And most of them, have experienced whatever I'm bringing up. So it really, really works. So I highly recommend that to anybody. And what I know helps too cognitively is you need to do new things, learn new things. So recently I've decided I'm going to try drawing. I got a book. I have no artistic ability. However, I had done this book years and years ago, and I remembered it. It's called Drawing from the Right Side of the Brain. And I remember how that had impacted me. So I got the book again, and I'm just about to embark on reading it and doing the exercises, because I do remember it was really remarkable that I was actually able to draw because of the method that they explained to you about your brain. This is all about your brain. And what is my disease about? My brain. So I'm looking forward to that. I, I was doing some watercolors for a while. I have a little dog, and so I take him for walks. That helps me do a little more exercise. I recently got a stationary bike, and that's so I can have something right here. If I can't get out and do something or schedule doesn't work, I got that. So I'm really, really, really trying to follow directions. I kind of believe that when we have problems, when we have things that happen that aren't good, I think it generally has to do with not following directions. And think about that with medication you take or whatever. If following directions is really the answer to many things. So I really try to keep up with what I have learned is good for me and what I've been told is good for me. Obviously, that helps a lot. I always say that one of the biggest things that has helped me, as I said, support is important. In the earlier days, I was really having a lot of anxiety over this being alone stuff. And, well, I just didn't know what to do. I tried hiring some people, disaster. To come and help me out with things, just a disaster. So I contacted my doctor's office, and their social worker gave me a list of agencies, health agencies, home health. So I contacted one of them because what I wanted was some assistance. I go into the grocery store and carrying, groceries and walking back and forth, carrying things. That wasn't a thing I could do easily. So I needed some physical help with stuff, just daily stuff. And I also needed somebody to talk to here that was readily available. So I contacted an agency and started out with just one person coming 4 hours a week. And it was really great. She was very nice. We got to be, pretty much friends over the time, as time has gone. And that was so nice that I hired a couple more people to come a little more often. And there's three, I call them girls because everybody's younger than me. They're all three very different from each other, but we really interact so well and at a deeper level than most everyday conversation happens. This is really meaningful to me when they're here, and we talk about our lives, our pasts, our childhood, stuff like that. It has been so helpful to me, and they each tell me, you have improved so much from when I first started coming. I say, thank you very much, for telling me that. And even myself, I look back and I see I was in bad shape, mentally and emotionally. I was really in bad shape. And I'm so much better. And they have been a big part of that. I do my part. I do believe I work hard. And having that, since I live alone, it really has made a difference, tremendous difference. And I am a recipient of a grant from the Parkinson Wellness Fund that actually is how I began hiring these girls. Now, the grant was really great, and it helped so much because it's very expensive. Home health assistance is very expensive. it's over and done. The money has been used for this agency, and I've continued on, hiring them myself. So I really can't thank the foundation enough for giving me that ability to start. And as I said, it turned out to be really, really beneficial to me. And I guess one of the things about me that I do know is if I have a problem, if something is wrong, I will turn over every stone until I've solved it, until it is resolved, until I feel better about whatever it is. There is so much help available. I really, one of the things that I hope to do in the near future is become more of an advocate for Parkinson's disease awareness, and what that means for being able to get more money for research. That's what's greatly needed. And I also would love to have the opportunity to work with people who are newly diagnosed. That is a really bad place to be. For how long you stay in that bad place, I'm not sure. It's all different, but I would love to be able to share some of what has worked for me. And I really have to say that 2 years later, I have hope that I never thought I would. I know where to go for help. I know what resources are available, and you can call. For instance, you can call the Parkinson Foundation, and a real person will answer you, and they are trained, so you can ask any Parkinson question you want. There's so much to make you not to feel alone, and I think with any serious chronic illness, having a sense of community, a sense of caring from other people, and sharing your experience, as they say, experience, strength, and hope. That is so important, and I'm so grateful that I've been able to achieve that. When you go through something and you learn and you get on the other side of it, it gives you sort of this expertise, even though I don't have scientific expertise or medical, but I have emotional and mental expertise. I know I do. I have been through a lot, and I tell you, it's very true. In 2 years, I am so different than I was when I was diagnosed. In fact, in some ways, I feel like I'm better than before I was diagnosed, because now, for one thing, I have community, and the other thing is I have a sense of purpose, which I hadn't had for some years since I quit working. And you have to have some level of your own health to be able to do anything, to volunteer or to help someone else. So I feel really strongly about that now, sort of after my trip, that was really my big focus. I need to do that. If it's political or something, I'm not sure, but I know it's out there. So I am going to pursue that line, and I really would like to, have a person or a couple people or whatever that I could share some things with, and maybe try to take away a little of their fear and nervousness. There are resources online too for newly diagnosed people. They don't have to have me. There's a lot of ways, but I want to tell you that when I first was learning about it and what to do and where to go, I just didn't know what to put in front of the other. It was how to prioritize. things, and it I want to help somebody else to not feel like they're going crazy. That's kind of messes you up big time. But I really can now look back. And my hindsight is 2020 that I see improvement. And my doctor sees it too, so that's affirming. I never thought I would get to this point. That I feel like I can live a pretty normal life. And hopefully for quite a while even. And it helps me to talk to other people with Parkinson's so that I can see how they cope with their changes. Some of the groups that I go to, some people are in advanced stages, and it can be a little daunting, to observe them, to listen to them. Some can't even talk. But I find it inspiring and hopeful because they showed up. They are there. And, so if they can show up, then I can. And really, I would really like to help some other people or other person in some way. And in my life, in my experience, when I have a goal, when I have something in my mind that I, want to accomplish, I always accomplish it. It can take a while. It takes hard work, but I will get there, and I know that to be true.